everyone. I'm just coming on Facebook tonight to make a little video about our election ballots. Election day is in 2 days, and Darby Borough has a very, very important election. And it's so very important that everyone who's eligible can votes. And make your vote count. And it's very easy. Just, you get your ballot at the polls, or if you have it at home, and make sure you fill in your whole entire block of the candidate that you want to vote for. For instance, for school board, we have Louella Richardson. I'm voting for Louella. She's a great person. She's been our school board rep. It's a thankless job, so I voted for her. For mayor, Joar Dahn is our candidate that won in the primary. And he's a young man. He's going to do very well. So I'm supporting Joar Dahn. Borough Council, well, that's another story. We have Al Robinson, the incumbent. I cannot bring myself to vote for Al Robinson. I'm sorry. Al's been there for a number of years, and Alfred has done nothing. And I just can't do it. He bankrupted our VFW. How do you bankrupt a VFW? He was the commander. He did absolutely nothing there. The building now is condemned, basically. The roof is shot. The walls are shot. The foundation is shot. And as a lifetime member of the Ladies Auxiliary, we can't even have meetings there. So Al has done absolutely nothing for Darby Borough. I'm not voting for him. So what I did was I filled in the block and I wrote my name in. You can write anybody's name in. If you want to vote for Mickey Mouse, at least fill the block in and write it in. You don't have to vote for the candidate that is there if you're not happy with them. In the first ward, we have Tracy Williams. She's running for re-election. I can't vote for her. I'm stuck in the second ward with Al Robinson. So Tracy is on our council. She's very good. She puts newsletters out to her constituents. She's very active. And Tracy, if you live in the first ward, please re-elect Tracy Williams. She's a great person. In the third ward, we have a little issue. I am supporting Fred Hill. Fred Hill has lived here for many, many years, since the 1990s. He lives on Pine Street. He's retired now. He worked for the United States Post Office. And Fred is a fantastic guy. Unfortunately, we have two people in the third ward that should not be reelected. That's Lucille Pratt and Omar Thompson. Omar Thompson is the finance chairman, has been the finance chairman for several years. Never has a budget workshop meeting. And last year, he didn't attend one council meeting, and he still got paid. He missed over 19 meetings. And he contributes absolutely nothing. He raised our taxes. So did Lucille. Our taxes went sky high last year. Why? Because the money is not spent the way it should be. And it's hidden. Everything is a secret with these two. Lucille Pratt is out of control. She has the title disease. If you ever want to see the title disease, she's got it. So does he. And when you run for an office and you're elected, you take that job very seriously. The job of a council person is to manage the borough by overseeing the different departments. A council person's job is not creating events at the recreation center, creating bingos, prom night, dance parties, you name it. That's not a job of a council person. That's the job of a recreation committee that are not elected officials. You get community members to be a recreation committee. They're the ones that oversee it, because what happens when you have council people that do that and do all the food giveaways, they act like it's them giving to the community. And it's not. It's not them. But it becomes a quid pro quo. I'll give you this for that. You vote for me, I'll give you this. I'll have this party. I'll have that party. Council people operate and supervise the highway department. They are to make sure that our streets are clean. They actually, for the police department, the only thing they do is pay the bills. Council people are not supposed to have anything to do with the police department. That is the role of the mayor. But too often in this town, council people think that they run the entire town by themselves, specifically the council president. No council person should ever tell a police officer what he needs to do or ask him for a favor. That is the job of the mayor. The mayor, under Section 1121 in the Pennsylvania State Borough Code, the mayor has full charge and control of the chief of police and the police department, and shall direct the time during which and the manner of operation for the police department. So no council person has anything to do with the police department except to pay the bills. That's the law. That's the statutes of Pennsylvania in all the boroughs in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But we have people that think it's their job, and it's not. The council people also are to monitor the budget every month. Every month, they should be discussing the budget and each line item. That's called profit versus loss, budget versus actual. It's fairly quite simple to do. It's not a hard job. You look at the budget, you see what line item has budgeted X amount of dollars. Let's just say the highway department, their overtime figure for the year is $10,000. And it's June, and they've spent $8,000 in overtime. That means they only have $2,000 left for the rest of the year. So you either go on the different line items and see where you can balance it if you need more overtime for the highway department, or see what you can cut back on. Not one of these council people have ever done that, because the finance chairman, Omar Thompson, never produced a budget, ever, in the 4 years that he's been there, ever. The council president, Lucille Pratt, never did it. And with these two together, we we got a sad state of affairs we're in. Lucille Pratt, every meeting, there's 2 meetings a month, she calls an executive session. But yet, she's not discussing the 5 subjects that you can only discuss in private. She'll talk about anything back in the back room, or sometimes now they do the executive session out in the open, but they keep the doors locked until they're done, which is not allowable. They have text messages. They have a group chat. They make decisions for the borough on the group chat. Everything's a secret. Come on, guys. We have to stop voting our friends in. We have to stop voting for people because either we're related to them or they're going to do us a favor. This town has the highest taxes. Why? Because we misspend the money. We misspend it. We spend it on all these events, all these different parties. And God knows what else we spend it on. Because they don't even know what they do. They don't even know what they're signing. It's atrocious. You've got 2 people on this borough council. Only 2 that are honest and they work hard. And that is Edna Stockley and Tracy Williams. I'm sorry, but that's it. The other ones blindly vote on things. They have no idea even what they're voting on. Case in point, the other night at the zoning board meeting, last year I brought up to the council, I discovered it by accident, all these properties that Darby Borough owned, almost 50, were sold. They were empty lots. They were in the repository, I guess. Who knows? It was never discussed publicly. But usually when there's an empty lot in between houses on a street or a corner lot, you want to make that lot taxable again. So what you do is you offer it to both sides of the people if there's 2 sides, if it's just one side on a corner. Say, hey, would you like to have this extra piece of ground? And, we can sell it to you for a nominal fee. Just to get it back on the tax rolls, you can give it to the neighboring home for $1. And it becomes their yard. And it stays open space. What did we do? There's a company called Ramsgate LLC. I challenge any of you to look it up. Ramsgate LLC. They bought all these lots for $1. And then they turn around and they put them all up for sale for $20,000, $30,000. What a way to make a quick buck. Well, the other night at the zoning board meeting, I found out even more information. That they want to build 3 homes on Forester Avenue in 3 of these lots that the county records show they purchased for $1 from the borough. And 1 house on Marks Avenue. Now, that's just 4 out of almost 40, 50 homes that they bought or that they have now. So they want to build houses. Okay. But when I question them, the architect there did not want to identify who the owners of Ramsgate LLC were. He said that they don't want to reveal themselves. Well, it's public record. Well, one did get up and talk, and he said his name was David Benjamin. And he testified in the zoning hearing that Darby Borough, the redevelopment authority, several years ago, took out loans, over $300,000 worth of loans on these vacant lots. And they defaulted on the loan or loans. They never paid them. So Ramsgate was able to purchase the lots for $1, but he kind of indicated that he now has to pay the loan back for the borough. I don't know how that works, but I will tell you this. It was never discussed at a public meeting that they were going to purchase or sell these lots or even take out a loan for over $300,000. Who made that decision? Who made that decision? They blindly vote on things at that council meeting and they have no idea what they are voting for. Lucille Pratt, her only job as council president is to run the meeting. She's not the queen. She's not above anyone. She thinks she is, but she's not. Her only job is to keep order. That's it. Run the meeting. She can't even call for a motion correctly. You call for the motion and someone makes the motion in its entirety and says exactly what the motion is. That doesn't happen. She says, I need a motion. Somebody says, I'll make that motion. All in favor? Aye. That's how she does it. You make the motion. You ask for questions. If anyone has any questions on the motion, that never happens. Then you take a roll call vote on most of all your motions. She doesn't do roll call. So it's very important that we come together as a community and let's think about what's right and what's wrong. Lucille Pratt and Omar Thompson do not deserve another chance. Fred Hill is here. You may not know him. You may recognize him from working at the Glen Olden post office for 100 years. He's a good, solid person. He was involved in the community. He was a coach for many years. He survived Hurricane Floyd. His house just missed it. And, you know, he knows how to serve the people. He was a public servant for 30 years. He's not serving himself like Lucille is, like Omar is. He's not collecting a paycheck and not showing up for work and not doing the job. 1 year. And still to this day, sometimes, you know, Omar misses. This isn't a game here. This is our lives. These are our properties. Some of us put a lot of work into our homes. We're not leaving. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit back and be silent and allow this town just to go straight downhill. Look around. You know, Lucille always says, beautiful downtown Darby. Well, that's a phrase we coined a long time ago when it was beautiful downtown Darby. She says, Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, this ain't Rome, okay? We've got trash on the streets. We've got abandoned cars. Now, our police department is doing a fantastic job within their jurisdiction. They handle the streets. Code enforcement handles private properties. But not only do we have that, they're just passing everything. How many car repair shops and tire shops did they pass through? And they don't follow up on. Look at the tires all over the town. We've got repair shops where they bring tractor trailers in. They go to the auction on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever day it is now. They bring back the cars they got from the auction. Most of them are flood cars. And they're parked on our streets because there's not enough at the business where they're at. That's not attracting good residents. That's not attracting homeowners. It's attracting a transient population that's not respecting our town. They just passed, no, they didn't pass, the zoning board. They passed the permission for this guy they sold 1000 Main, a historical building built in 1852, to a man that wants to make an 18-room Airbnb for all the tourists that get off the trolley. I've been here 64 years. I don't recall one tourist that got off the trolley. He was going to restore the building. He didn't. It's torn down. Demolished it. They ignored. We have a Darby demolition. We have a demolition delay ordinance in effect. We put that in effect in the early 2000s after they tore down Freedom House, which was part of the Underground Railroad. They tore it down like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So we would wake up and see it after the damage was done. So we all got together. I was the mayor. And we created this ordinance that would delay demolition of historical buildings. And there's a process you have to take. If somebody wants to tear down a building that's historical, they have to write a letter to the council and certify what is wrong, what exactly is wrong with the building, and why it must be demolished instead of restored. That wasn't done. And then once the borough council gets that letter, they have to open it up and advertise a public meeting so the residents can come and say, hey, what's the reason why you want to tear down that building? What's wrong? You have to have a hearing on that. That didn't happen. The man that bought it said he was going to restore it. And next thing we know, the building was completely down. Now he says he got a demolition permit. I'm sure he did. But he didn't follow the demolition delay procedure. And the council didn't oversee that. They knew he was going to do that. They knew exactly what his plans were because this man, Alfred Robinson, put it in his literature, and he said, developers are now working to build the multi-million-dollar service complex. This beautiful structure will provide Darby residents and commuters various stores, electric charging station, gasoline, and a second-floor sit-down dining facility. Well, we have the stores all right there. And we also have the Darby Creek that's about 100 feet, less than 100 feet away, that always rises up and floods out Springfield and McDade. Then he says the Believe site. believe. I guess that's what he's calling it. Developed by Schuller Contracting Company next door to this gas station. Which, by the way, I think we have 9 or 11 gas stations within walking distance. Okay? Less than a mile. This will be an 18-unit temporary living facility for professional commuters with a first-floor history gallery of Darby Borough. These 2 new projects will help beautify our downtown area. That's not our downtown area. In case Mr. Robinson can't remember, he was on council when we did this, I believe. That is our historic area from the bus loop all the way up to the 1100 block of Main Street is our historical area, designated as all historical homes on those blocks. Just look at the architecture of some of them. Look at the architecture of the old rectory for BVM, which is owned by Marvel's funeral home right there in the corner. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. We have a set of twins in the 1100 block that were the first twin homes ever made in America. We have a home right next to 1000 Main, 1006 Main, owned by Jan and John Haggis. He was our chairman of our historical commission until Lucille Pratt and Janice Davis and Alfred Robinson removed him and shut down our historical commission. Our town was settled in the 1600s, and we don't have a historical commission. Don't have it. Because they got rid of it. Why? Because they don't want history to be preserved. They are into demolishing every historical structure in this town. They just did 1000 Main. 1000 Main is next to the Hygges' house. That was built in 1734. 1734. And now you're going to stick a gas station next to it? Or a rooming house, a boarding house? Like, this happens in this town because our council people don't think. Somebody flashes something right in front of them, oh yeah, and they jump on it. Without any discussion, they talk about it in the back room consistently. Every month, 2 meetings a month, they meet in executive. The Pennsylvania Sunshine Act requires you to announce when you come out of executive what you talked about. You don't have to be detailed, but you have to say, council met in executive discussion, an executive session. We discussed the lawsuit, Schuller versus Richards. That case number, and you state the case number. They've discussed it. They've never announced that. Ever. They don't tell you anything. They don't even tell you that they met in executive session. Lucille says she doesn't have to because she calls it now an information session. No council does this. Everything is on the up and up and open to the public. Open to the public, like this. Open to the public. Back in a few months ago, I wrote a right to know request, and I wrote it to Delaware County. And I said, because Delaware County had a meeting. So I wrote, on April 11th, 2025, Director Jim Allen reported to the Board of Election at their public meeting that he had to hire 3 individuals to stand at 3 locations at Penwood Middle School in the last general election in 2024 to wheel persons into the polling place. I would like to know who the 3 persons are. I would like an electronic version of any record you may have that's available that identifies who these 3 people are, whether it be a pay stub, pay sheet, or any kind of correspondence to the individuals that states their name and the amount they were paid and the hours that they worked. Thank you. From Paula Richards. Okay. I requested that because it's a right to know. And the reason why I requested it was because they moved our polling place from Penwood West down to the playground of Janice and Lucille, the rec center. Now, we've always voted there, never had a problem because it's in a school, and most municipalities vote in school buildings. The classes are always canceled that day. You know, they always have off. It's an in-service day or whatever. It's great parking. It's handicap accessible. It's right there. You pull right up to the door. And we don't have that many handicapped people. We have a lot of seniors, yeah. But I don't recall anybody, maybe one person in a wheelchair. So where did Jim Allen from the election board get this information? He got it from Janice Davis, Lucille Pratt, who testified? Tommy Davis, Janice's son, Esther Lights. All these people testified under oath that all these disabled people were coming into the middle school and it's too far for them to walk and it's not handicap accessible. There's like 3 handicap accessible entrances for this building. It wouldn't be a school if there were no handicap. So the lies under oath were ridiculous. But anyway, I was curious because the director of the election board said he had to hire 3 people to get all these handicapped. Now, I have barely ever missed an election working in this town. That's a long time. That's over 100 elections. I don't recall ever seeing any of that. But I asked and I received because the county is open. I got a check written to Thomas Davis here for $234 from Delaware County, and they paid him, that's Janice's son, they paid him for ADA assistance. Okay. One from Elizabeth M. Orlando. She's not from this town. She got paid $238.50. You might be able to see it better on this one. This was her sheet. Elizabeth, she worked 6:45 to 8 p.m. and she got paid $238 for ADA assistance. Yeah, ADA. So she was wheeling people in from 6:45 to 8 p.m. And I think the other one was her husband, Thomas Orlando. So these people made almost $500 for the day. 6:45 a.m. to 8 p.m. $238.50. So, and here's my answer back. Dear Paula Richards, you were notified by email from this office dated April 30th that this office required an additional 30 days. We reviewed your request for records related to 3 individuals to stand at 3 locations at Penwood Middle School in the last general election to wheel persons into the polling place, and determined that we have records that are responsive to your request, and those records are public records for the purposes of the right to know law. Attached, please find the records redacted in accordance with applicable exceptions to the right to know law. Note that Thomas Davis worked at Darby Borough 2-1. That's what you call open transparency. We don't have that. We have executive sessions where we make decisions and talk about everything that should be talked about in public. That's one of the main reasons why we need to get new people in office. Fred Hill in the 3rd Ward. Write somebody in the 2nd Ward. Alfred's got to go. Lucille and Omar have to go. This is the definition of insanity, because we keep bringing these people back and the same thing happens and nothing gets done. Trash, debris. It's a mess. It's a mess, and they're not doing their jobs. So that's my rant. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions at all whatsoever, please give me a call. My number is 610-637-1091, or you can reach me on Facebook, or you can email me at paulabrown185@aol.com. So I hope I haven't bored you too much. Thank you very much. And please go vote. Share this video with your neighbors. Please, it's so easy. It's so easy to vote, by mail-in ballot or at the polls. And no one knows. Absolutely no one knows how you vote. There's no way they can tell. So you go vote for whoever you want to vote. And don't worry about any threats or intimidation or promises or harassment. Just go vote. Thanks, everybody.